What's going on, Halo fans? Luke TheNotable here. In this video, we're going to be explaining how Noble 6 could have survived the events of Halo Reach. Please take the time to actually watch this video and listen to my points. I know a lot of you are just going to go straight down to the comment section and say, but we see him die at the end. Don't worry, I'll get to that. First, we have to understand who Noble 6 is. Notice I didn't say who Noble 6 was because he's alive. We actually don't know much about the lore of Noble 6. This is because much of Noble 6's background is blacked out. That, and it's not really talked about too much in Halo Reach. We only know small points of information about Noble 6 before he joined Noble Team. We do know that he was an efficient and elite lone wolf assassin, so good that he could single-handedly take down entire military organizations. He was also a test pilot in the UNSC Sabre program. At some point, Noble 6's superior used him as kind of a private assassin, and because of this, Noble 6 was forced to join Noble Team. Now, throughout this background segment, I've been saying Noble 6 as him. Now, this is a time where assuming someone's gender on the internet is actually completely wrong to do. Noble 6 is less of a character in the universe and more of a plot element used by Bungie in Halo Reach. Noble 6, because of his shady background, can essentially be changed into any Spartan you want him to be. In the background, you see my Spartan with the gold visor, blue armor, and the Mark V helmet. But you could use any number of Spartans to be Noble 6 because he doesn't have much of a background. You may be asking yourself why I'm bringing this fact up, and it's very important. There are a lot of characters that have died over the course of the Halo games. Miranda Keyes, Captain Keyes, all of these different characters, Sergeant Forge even. Characters in the Halo franchise died for a specific reason, and Bungie left Noble 6's death open to interpretation because maybe at another time they could bring him back for another spin-off game. I refuse to believe that the elites invaded Reach just to kill some humans. In a hypothetical spin-off game, maybe Noble 6 could, as a lone wolf where he is best, go and fight off the elites that are maybe trying to find Forerunner artifacts on Reach. Halo Wars 1 has already showed us that Forerunner artifacts could be placed anywhere in the galaxy, and of course, some of them could be put on Reach. I'm not a game developer, I'm not a writer, but that's just one way that you could have Noble 6 in a spin-off game. Reach 2, that'd be kind of cool. But all of this assumes that Noble 6 actually survived the events of Halo Reach in the first place, and that is why you clicked on the video, so that is why we're gonna get into that right now. We're going to start with the cutscene where Noble 6 is allegedly killed first. Why? Because if I can refute this evidence, then the rest of it will be pretty easy to do. So as we start to die in the last mission of Halo Reach Lone Wolf, Noble 6 takes off his helmet, picks up an assault rifle, and from here on out, the camera switches to his helmet camera. From this point on, we get a close-up view of Noble 6 killing a bunch of elites in increasing rarity coming towards him. We also see blood squirt out of him. At this point, we can tell that he's injured. Now, this is the part where you need to really look closely at what happens to Noble 6 frame by frame. The first white elite takes his sword in his hands, going to stab Noble 6, and is kicked off. The second red elite goes for a stab on Noble 6, but if we freeze frame, we can see that the sword actually doesn't touch Noble 6, and we can see the shields of the red elite pop. The red elite is also thrown back, which tells us that Noble 6 probably kicked him or punched him. He didn't get stabbed here. Now, that first elite that tried to stab him comes back for a second go at Noble 6. If we freeze frame at this frame here, we can tell that Noble 6 is on his side, dodging the stab from the elite. Noble 6 then elbows that elite in the face, popping his shields and pushing him off. We then see a red elite going for the stab, which is going to be the kill shot, and then it ends. We get a cut of Noble 6's destroyed helmet. We don't actually see Noble 6 get physically stabbed in any point in this final cutscene, and we never see him die. And even if this red elite did stab him, he could probably survive one stab of an energy sword. I mean, he's a Spartan. And if we look, it wasn't a full energy sword, it was actually just an energy knife. So it wouldn't equal the full damage of an energy sword. Let's also refer to the never found the body trope, or no one could survive that trope. These are two common tropes. Both of these state that you should never count someone dead unless you have a body in front of you. This situation happens a lot in other video games, such as Call of Duty. In Call of Duty 4, during a flashback mission, it is thought that you successfully killed Emran Zakhaev. Your commanding officer even congratulates you and says, after shooting him, shock and blood loss should do the rest. But you never see the body, and later in the game, Emran Zakhaev comes back. We shouldn't count out Noble 6 because we never actually see him die. Now, this doesn't necessarily prove that he lived the encounter, but it does prove that we can't say that he died, at least from our evidence. Another piece of evidence that Noble 6 is probably dead is that we get a monologue from Cortana after this scene. Cortana tells us that our body now belongs to Reach, but that doesn't necessarily mean that we died on Reach. Noble 6 could just be the protector of Reach. As I said before, we could have a game where the Covenant are trying to find Forerunner artifacts on Reach, and Noble 6 could be the protector of humanity trying to stop the Covenant from getting to those artifacts. And I think the true point at which Noble 6's body belonged to Reach was the point at which he denied the Pelican ride off of it. He made a sacrifice for humanity and gave his body up to the planet. That doesn't necessarily mean he had to die though. Okay, now if we assume Noble 6 could have survived the onslaught of elites that were attacking him when he was fighting in the ground, we then have to figure out where he would go from there. The area of the last mission is surrounded by a kill barrier. If you go into it, it'll say return to battlefield, you have 10 seconds. Now I fully expected to be killed by a Covenant barrage or something of that manner, some actual thing to kill me. But if you go past this 10-second limit, you just die. This would prove that if Noble 6 survived the fight with the Covenant, he could move away from the area he was at. And if we look at Noble 6's background, we already know that he or she is really great on their own. They succeeded as a lone wolf assassin, killing out armadas of Covenant. I don't think it's too far-fetched to say that if Noble 6 could have survived the Noble 6 death cutscene, then there would be no problem that he could survive any of the other trials and tribulations of Halo Reach. From there, using his Spartan knowledge and all of the intel that he probably received in all of his training, he could probably find a secret Oni base or even just a UNSC base and hide out there. In the last mission alone, we already have evidence that the Covenant really don't care about the UNSC presence on Reach. Of course, they care about the Marines and all of the humans that are sitting around breathing, but if you notice in just this last mission, there are a ton of weapon caches that are pretty much just left open. In this first area, there are tons of Covenants surrounding this area, but none of them have touched the weapons. Noble 6 could scavenge these weapons and use them to travel even greater distances than the surrounding area. Reach was glassed soon after the UNSC presence was gone, but Noble 6 could have easily survived the glassing if he went well underground in, say, a secret UNSC or Oni base, or if he went to a part of the planet that was already glassed. Spartans and even basic infantry are trained in survival tactics, so he could definitely just live off the land even if he wasn't fighting Covenant. And again, he's a lone wolf. He was trained that way, he exceeded that way, he would definitely be okay. If you agree with my theory or not, I do want to hear what you have to think, so go down to the comment section below. But before you comment, just remember, if a semi-truck can get flipped over by a mongoose, then maybe anything is possible. If you liked this video and want to learn more about Halo, one of the easiest ways is with Audible. Audible is a service from Amazon that offers a massive amount of audiobooks to its subscribers, and Audible is currently offering a 30-day audiobook service. You'll get access to 2 free audiobooks, and yes, all of the Halo novels are on audiobook and available right now. I personally like listening to these audiobooks while online playing some Halo, and of course you can cancel anytime. If you're interested in learning all about the Fall of Reach or a resident expert on what the ladies like, go down to the link in the description and to sign up for your absolutely free 30-day trial of Audible. And if this offer didn't already sound like the most notable thing you've ever heard, the 2 books you get with the trial are yours to keep forever, even if you cancel. So click on that link down in the video description to get your 2 free audiobooks with Audible completely risk-free. I want to thank you all for watching. Please stay notable, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you. Bye-bye.